All right, try to loosen things up a little bit. I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to get up here and give a presentation this afternoon. It's really an honor for me. When I look at the room and listen to the other presenters, there's so much knowledge and information here. I'm really in awe, and I'm saying to myself, what can I possibly teach these guys? So thank you for the invite, and I'll try to share with you some of my experiences and the experience that Li & Fung is having as a company right now. But I think these types of events, what I really like about them is about learning and sharing. And I always feel a little bit guilty afterwards when I'm up and when I'm asked to give a presentation, because I always feel at the end of the day, I always learn more than I share. So let me try to help you out, and I'll try to share something with you. Before I get into the meat of the presentation, in thinking about our industry or the technology industry, I was at a RFID journal show in Phoenix about 10 days ago. And when you walk through the show, you see everyone presenting their wares, presenting their solutions. And as you walk through it, you find out, well, a lot of people are basically selling the same things. So I think the challenges that we have in the industry is what sets us apart. How can we differentiate? And in thinking about that, there's a presentation that I watched on TED. The presenter is Simon Sinek, and he talks about communicating from inside out. So I think a lot of times we get into the trap in the IT industry, technology industries, where we feel compelled to tell people what we do. And then we get into the weeds about the details of what we do. And I think that we need to change the conversation about IoT and the industrial Internet of Things. It's not what we do, it's why we're doing it. And then so start off with your greater purpose. Why do we want to digitize? Why do we want to develop a smart home? And then again, even the smart home conversation becomes something interesting. And I say to myself, do I really want a smart home? Is that what I want as a consumer? I want a smart employee. When I go home, I want to relax and rest. So I mean, maybe it's something to think about. I mean, there's a lot of products out there to make our homes smart, but is that really what the consumer wants? Okay, so with that, see if I can go forward here. So my discussion is connecting the IoT with the IIoT, or vice versa. And this is kind of a personal journey for me. About 4 years ago, I got involved with RFID technology, item level tagging. Our customers asked us to put this RFID tag on a garment. And the first question I asked is, what's that? Okay, so that was my introduction into this world right now. And so, and from that, we started looking at the Internet of Things, about smart products, the Fitbit and your Apple Watch, and wearable technologies and these sorts of things. So that led me into a greater knowledge of RFID, and brought me into tools used for consumer experience at retail. So my experience with IoT and with IIoT, it really started from an RFID tag back into saying, okay, how can we use this technology to make our supply chain better? So the greater purpose that we have right now with the IIoT is simply that, okay, how can we make our supply chain better? So this is an interesting statement. Everything that can be digital will be digital. So I think when I saw this statement several years back, I started thinking about it and saying, okay, what does that mean to me? So for Li & Fung, for us, we manage a very complex supply chain. We touch all parts of a supply chain, from cotton to fabric to a garment to logistics, onto retail and then consumer experience. So when I say everything that can be digital, I think about across our supply chain, what are the things that are digital now? What's not digital? How can I digitize it? And where are the gaps in that? So for me, what this statement means is that, okay, how can I get more data? Digitizing things allows me to access the data, right? Data gives us insight. Insights, give us actions. So I'm going to show a quick video with regards to Li & Fung. What's our digital platform? And from this, we'll talk about what it means.
Consumers are changing. And so too are our customers. Where before we provided cost, quality and efficiency, now we must also deliver speed, innovation and data-driven insights. This shift has required us to change where and how we deliver value. Our role in the supply chain has transformed from one focused on sourcing excellence to become the enabler of an end-to-end supply chain platform and partner ecosystem. Digitizing the Li & Fung platform is creating an integrated and intelligent solution for all our partners. Our existing applications are the core underlying components. We are also building, integrating and subscribing to new services that expand our portfolio into new areas. Designed with the flexibility to be customized for our clients' unique needs and experienced through a new digitized user interface. Intelligent image libraries that store all our digital assets. Virtual design applications to empower collaborative ideation at speed. Integrated tools that enable comparative and dynamic costing analysis. And end-to-end tracking across the value chain. New technologies and data plugins will embed innovation and analytics into the heart of our platform, keeping us responsive to fast-moving market trends and digital innovation. An integrated digital platform enables us to capture and share data across the entire value chain. The result? An ever-growing analytics engine designed to enable smarter, faster and more effective decisions. This platform will serve as the core of a broader digital ecosystem, integrating our partners across the end-to-end supply chain. Welcome to the future of supply chain.
Okay, so there's a lot in this video, and you can see there's a lot of different parts of our supply chain that we're looking to digitize. Obviously today I can't talk about all of that, so I will be going into a particular portion of our supply chain, which is the smart factory, and we'll talk more about that in just a bit. But before I do that, I'd like to say I'm not here to sell any of you a service or to sell you a product. I'm here to share with you the journey that Li & Fung as a company is on. And the reason why I want to share it is that I believe we've come to the realization that this is something that we can't do on our own. We need technology partners. We need suppliers and people that can help bring us down this journey, bring us down this path. So I can say right now we're working with a lot of different companies. We're working with large companies. We're working with IBM. We're working with Amazon. But we're also working with a lot of SMEs. So just because you're big doesn't mean you have the best solution. Okay, there's a lot of great innovators out there in the world of SMEs and companies that are just startups that we can learn from. So I guess if there's one takeaway from this as you learn about what Li & Fung is doing to digitize our supply chain, think about some of the services and the things that you can do. And think back to the earlier statement that I said anything that can be digital or digitized will be digitized. And I was out in the hall there earlier, and there's one company, I have the name card there, I forget the name, but they had sensors that can sense the humidity and the temperature within a factory environment. To me, that's interesting. They also have sensors that can measure the pH balance in water and the chemicals that are in water. That's important to me as well. Because two reasons. On the humidity and temperature control, when you make fabric, it's very important in your weaving shops that you have that type of control for optimal performance of your weaving looms. So having that digital information becomes really important, where I can start to remote site analyze the performance of our fabric mills. And when it comes to water, water is a major output of our industry. So everyone here is, I guess, everyone's dressed. You're wearing some type of garment. It's blue, it's green, it's yellow. That's all dye. So that dye stuff is, that's water that has to be, put back into the system. It has to have wastewater treatment, and it's a really big issue around the world, and especially in China today. A lot of the textile mills in China, the government's trying to shut them down because of the wastewater that they're putting out there. So what if at all the mills that make fabric for our supply chain had these types of sensors, in their wastewater treatment, we could real time understand or see where the problems are. So, whether you're a big company or small company, we're interested in partnering with all types of technology companies. Okay, so in our digital world, we say the product becomes the center of information across the entire supply chain. So, back to my beginning journey a couple years back when someone asked me to put an RFID tag on that garment, the purpose of that was to have more efficient operations in warehouse, distribution, and in store. So we put the RFID tag on the item and off it went. So what if, and that's what this, this slide here shows you. So really RFID tagging, item level tagging for garments, really was a logistics solution. And then it became a consumer experience solution in store, and then finally a consumer experience post-sale. So once I got involved with that, I said, well, what about backing this up and moving into the factory? What are the inputs to manufacturing? So where's the product made? What factory, what date, what are the inputs to make that? How can we start digitizing that and collect that and link that to the product as well? Now, if you're with Ford Motor Company, or you're with Boeing, or you're with Toyota, this isn't new stuff for you. Using RFID technology in these types of industries has been around for 15, 20 years, maybe longer. For my industry, it's quite new. The industry that that Li and Fung typically sources from, is really relied on low-cost labor. And in the 30 years that I've been in Asia, we keep chasing cheap. Okay, the ability to chase cheap is getting further and further away from us. And what I mean by that is that we kept chasing cheap labor. I started in Taiwan, I went to Thailand, Southeast Asia, I went to Shanghai, northern China, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, now we're going to Myanmar. We're running out of places to go. So rather than chasing cheap labor, let's chase better. Okay, let's work with the suppliers across our supply chain, the manufacturers across our supply chain, to help them improve their performance, improve their efficiency, improve their productivity. And so there's two major inputs that we're looking at in that regard, and we'll talk about that perhaps in the next slide, I think it is that the two major consumables that we have in our cost of goods is fabric and labor. So that's a lot of things that we're looking at in terms of digitization. How can we capture more information on those processes to see where are there inefficiencies, how can we streamline it and make it and improve it? Okay, and then the last bit of it is that is how can we capture the full supply chain, the full transformation from cotton to yarn to fabric to finished garment, and onward to the consumer. So the circle in red, to me, that was kind of my nirvana. A few years back, I said, boy, if I could do this, wouldn't it be great? Well, we're doing it now. This isn't aspirational. So I'm working with several of our larger mills. Right now, it's 2 out of several hundred that we work with to digitize this transformation of the cotton, to the yarn, to the fabric, and then to the cut and sew of the garment. Now, to do that, what technologies are we deploying? How are we doing it? And I'll have to say, there's no magic bullet there. Just like I say to completely transform our supply chain and to digitize it, we can't do it ourselves. We need partners. And deploying one technology isn't the way to go either. So in the transformation of cotton to yarn to fabric, we're utilizing several technologies. We're utilizing Wi-Fi, RFID, we're using NFC, QR codes, barcodes. So it's a handshake of data depending on where the transformation takes place. So I like to say that in my journey, I'm a little bit technology agnostic. I don't really care too much about what the tool is, as long as it's the right tool for the solution that I'm trying to provide. So the big part of our supply chain is, I like to say, is the digital factory, the smart factory. Li and Fung, we have about 12,000 factories that we use around the world. That's in China, India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Vietnam, you name it, they're all over the place, okay? So when I say, how can I make our factories better? It's a daunting task, right? And I could hire a group of lean engineers and send them to factories, and industrial engineers and send them to factories. It would take me a lifetime. So technology has to be a big part of the solution. So how can I enable smart factories across our supply chain where I can see real time what's happening in these factories, and I can have remote site diagnostics. I can have my team of industrial engineers, my lean engineers in the background that can see the data from the factory and say, okay, here's where the bottlenecks are. Here's how we can improve productivity and performance, across these factories. So if we want to make something better, we have to be able to measure it. So one of the big tools that we're using in our cut and sew factories to transform them, to make it transparent, measurable, and sustainable is RFID. We're linking RFID from the worker to the machine and through the entire process. So RFID is the key tool that we're using to track that. And in putting the systems in, there's software behind it as well. What we're experiencing is about 25 to 30% improvement in productivity, which is quite substantial. So I'm not going to go into the details of what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. 3 steps to build a network of smart factories. We want to enable the factories, enable the workers with RFID, track the throughput of production, from cutting to sewing to packing, put it on the cloud, have remote site access to all the data. And then from that, we're able to see certain things. OTS, that's our order tracking system. Right now, we have armies of people that chase these 12,000 factories and ask them every day, every week, do you have the fabric? Have you started cutting? Have you started sewing? What's the status of sewing? Lee and Fung, we're a $16 billion company. About $14 billion of that is apparel. The average cost of apparel is, say, roughly $3 a piece. So there's a lot of garments that we're tracking in production. So to do that right now, this is manual. It's done by spreadsheets. So the idea is that once we digitize our factories, we can start to get this information real time from the factories. We don't have to ask them about it anymore. It goes directly into our order tracking systems. The second point is it gives us the ability now that we have the data to do a factory dashboard. Right now, we measure the performance of a factory from, have you shipped quality product on time? Okay, and those are the factories that get more business from us. But we know nothing about their productivity. So now, by having real-time information about how goods are flowing through their shop floor, we can measure their productivity, not their output. And a lot of times, within the group, I'll ask someone, what's the productivity of your factory? And they say, well, on a production line, they can sell 1,000 pieces in 8 hours. I said, that's not productivity, that's output. Okay, how many pieces should they be able to make in an hour? That's the question that, the types of questions that we should be asking. So now I can create a dashboard across a wide group of manufacturers, and I can share that information with them. Now, I won't particularly share with them the names of the factories that they're comparing themselves with, but at least they can see, based on the productivity that they're getting from their factory, how do they compare with other factories in their market or factories across the marketplace? Okay, product certificate. Now what I get is again, linking everything back to the product. I have all information about where the fabric came from, how the fabric is performing, the testing, compliance of the factory. Are there any age, wage, health, and safety issues at the factory? I get factory performance information. Inspection information, and then onward to the shipping. So this becomes part of what we say is our product certificate. Okay, so again, it's a step-by-step approach to data virtualization. In the past, it really was looking at supply chain, logistics, and retail into the consumer. I think there's a lot of work that's been done on this. If any of you have ever got a chance to go to the NRF show in New York, it's a great show about technology in the retail industry, and it captures all of this stuff. But not much work has really been done on the back end, and that's really the focus of my area. How can we digitize the production and then the upfront part of it? So what does all of this look like? There is a real example. We have about 30 factories that we digitize right now that represents about $500 million in FOB output. We're really racing to get more factories enabled. But we also have some case studies where we've been able to link all of this information together. We've done this with one of the brands that we own. Spyder is a performance ski wear supplier in the marketplace. We worked with a company called SmartTrack, and I think they've worked with several other technology companies as well. I think Amazon Web Services is one of the web service providers that we're working with. Now, Spyder has some unique problems. High-end performance ski jacket that sell for $300 to $400. They have an issue that about 60% of all the returns that go back into their supply chain are counterfeit. They have another issue where they sell 3 million garments a year, but they have less than 30,000 people in their supply chain, in their customer service records. Another issue that they have is because they sell they don't have all their own retail outlets. They sell their product in sporting goods stores that have other brands as well. How can they communicate why their jacket is $400 and why perhaps a Columbia ski jacket is only $150? So what we did is we put NFC into the jacket to help resolve a lot of these issues. So let's show you what we ended up with. Maybe I'll get it.
If you're a brand looking for a way to deliver more value to your customers, consumer experience is the smart place to innovate. The thing is, the vast majority of a consumer's experience with products happens offline. It's where most retail sales still happen, and crucially, it's where customers actually use most of the products they've bought. The key, it turns out, lies in delivering more value to your consumers through the products you're already selling. Spyder is a leading ski and performance lifestyle brand. They've decided to confront this challenge by transforming a complete product line. But instead of just improving their consumers' online experience, their innovation starts offline. Spyder chose to not only deliver a great jacket, they're actively finding new ways to make the jacket the heart of the skiing experience, delivering useful content that offers real benefits and social media content that inspires.
We're so excited to bring this technology to a very innovative collaboration and partnership that we have with the U.S. ski team. Spyder has, of course, sponsored the team for 27 years, so it's a deep relationship. And those athletes, that elite platform on which they perform, that is how Spyder comes to market every year. And so it was a natural fit for us to put this web-based and social media technology into our product with a consumer that's going to engage in it enthusiastically, and to make sure that we enable a deeper relationship with that consumer. This technology has allowed us to do that, and we're excited about the results that we've achieved so far with this platform.
The jackets utilize NFC technology, which is the same technology that's utilized in use cases similar from smart cards to Apple Pay, communicating via a simple web service application. With a simple tap of your NFC mobile device, tap the NFC logo on the Spyder jacket, and receive instant access to the U.S. ski and snowboard team's social media site to get instant, deep, relevant content on each individual U.S. ski team member. While at the resort, you can get local-based contextual information such as ski reports, ski conditions, local trail maps, and other pertinent relevant information with a simple tap of the Spyder logo.
We're really excited about our partnership with SmartTrack. They've been a great team in which to integrate this process. Our supply chain was not at all disrupted, and we have all the benefits now that we receive from having the NFC chip in our product. We're enthusiastic to take it to a broader mass platform, and we're looking forward to continuing to partner with SmartTrack.
Because loyalty goes both ways, and brands like Spyder seeking deeper engagements with their customers have realized they need to earn it. So when is a jacket more than a jacket? When you can use it to fundamentally change your customer's experience.
Time's up, right? Thank you.